Hey guys, what's cracking? It's Krakenation here, coming at you guys with the draft grade, the draft analysis for Draft Classic Season 3. Today we're going to be busting out some hot takes on all of the drafts as they went down on the stream and the fast draft over this past weekend. I'm joined today by two fine gentlemen, Sean Inversify and Noah Strokefish, two regulars in the Draft Classic, although unfortunately Inversify is not competing with us. He's out to do bigger and better things with the United States Air Force, which that's pretty exciting. But
It's true. It's true.
so we'll give a gentle shout out to him for his honorable future. But
Yeah, moment of silence for him,
yeah,
please.
but so just to go over the format, we're gonna be breaking this down. We're gonna start with what was power ranked as the worst draft, and then we're gonna be working our way up to what was draft graded as the best draft. So the one you see on the screen right now, we're gonna start with Macargo Tel Aviv. Sorry, Horace, you got graded as the worst draft coming out of draft day. So I'll start off with my analysis on this draft, and we'll you can see all the grades and stuff on your screen here. But
I don't, but okay.
just to I can actually I'll send you guys the link real quick because yeah, you guys should probably have access to this. Oh, wait one.
Dude, my man decided to take a somewhat slow physical wall breaker round 1, and then he complemented it with 3 more of the exact same Pokemon in rounds 3, 4, and 11.
Yeah, that is not ideal.
At least he drafted webs.
So yeah, I mean that was on the draft too. Like that was something we were like super stressing about. Like, dude, when is this guy gonna draft a Weber? Because it seems like he needs a Weber for this draft to be like remotely functional. It's just wall breaker after stall breaker after wall breaker after stall breaker on this draft. It feels like. So nobody plays stall against this team, and you'll probably be okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just bring any Mon that's faster than 100 speed, and you slap heavy duty boots on, and the only way it's gonna get outsped is a Scarfer.
Yeah, no, for real. It's like kind of a weird draft.
It would be better in Gen 7 if boots weren't a thing, but like now you just run like boots on your fastest Mon, and you're just like, okay, set webs. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. Like he drafted his clearers are also pretty bad at that. If we're like I don't understand the Zard X pick that he randomly dropped at the end of the draft. Like,
I guess he's just like, I have this many points, even though Mega Charizard X hasn't been good since Gen 6,
But
and it got even worse in Gen 8 because it's like one of the few like hard rock weak Mons that like can't even run boots to save itself now.
Right.
that's fair, but like even if like I'm not sure I 100% agree with like Zardex being bad now. I still think it's pretty good, but I just don't like the fit here. Like his clearing is kind of trash. Like Togekiss isn't a very great clear. It's okay. And Fortress,
It's just Fortress.
it's literally just Fortress, and like okay, congratulations, you're now bringing Fortress every week. I guess like enjoy.
Dude, don't sleep on Defog Mega Charizard X.
It's just defogging away its own hazards. So before it comes in, loses 50% of his health, defogs the hazards away.
Yeah, Defog's his own webs away, so now his whole team without.
So
Yeah.
He's like, wait, can't have the speed drop now. Dang it, I lost.
So the D I gave this draft may have been even a little generous now that I'm thinking about it.
No, it's got some redeeming factors,
Well,
such as
what do you think? Give me some redeeming qualities.
if you don't have a dark type, he just runs he brings Gothitelle, and then you kind of are really like, I mean, Gothitelle is just very good when the opponent doesn't have a dark type because it just runs Cosmic Power and Rest and Stored Power, and you're just like, well,
Now okay, but hear me out. What if, like that's quality analysis about specifically Gothitelle. It's not like good team
I'm
composition.
saying that's a win.
I do have
I mean,
something
I'm just saying, like, I'm guessing, I haven't looked at all the teams, but I'm guessing there's a fair
couple
few
that don't have
a dark,
type. Yeah.
or they have like a terrible dark type. So I'm just saying, like, that set, even if you prep well for it, it can definitely win games, and that's the point of draft. Like, you want to have win cons. So
Yeah, fair enough. So
I'll give it some redemption there.
So his final grade ends up being a C minus as that's his like average grade. If Sean, I don't know, I see that you're not in the spreadsheet right now, but if you want to be, that's what you could do. Also, no,
No,
if you
I
want to do
don't
me a
care.
favor and click anywhere else in the spreadsheet because you currently are leaving a pink box in the stream, thank you.
No.
All
All
right,
right,
so
though, this draft does have a lot of good Scarfers, which is good. You know, like Hoopa,
well, yeah, any
Togekiss.
draft that has like a lot of like middling speed wall breaker is probably gonna have a lot of good scarfers while you're at it.
It's a little overly reliant on webs and or scarf every
Yeah.
week
Yeah,
to like have the speed
I could
control.
imagine a lot of weeks where
Although,
like there's double scarfer on this team or something.
yeah, which is probably not ideal. But at least there's a decent amount of volts turn for Gothitelle. But
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. That's
pretty
true.
much just like if you have
There's a
two
lot of pivots on
really
this draft. That's true. What,
two
like
highest
one,
two highest
two?
cost mons are weak to rocks and like badly weak, like don't run boots weak to rocks. And then he just his hazard removal is Togekiss and Fortress. So it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we're gonna move on to the next team here. We've got the Greenwich Glaceons. And guys, sorry about like the random pictures that aren't appearing. It's the error on like the Google server end that's been going on for a few months. There's nothing I can do about it. But this is also this draft also got a C minus, but it was slightly higher on average than the draft we just saw. Little less D action going forward. But I think the biggest problem with this draft was like just doubling down on types all the time. And then just not picking up a lot of like Weavile round one, like there's not a lot of threats on this team. Like Weavile
Yeah.
round one's good, and then like after that it's like, well, this Pokemon like isn't too bad, you know? Like I don't know, doubling down on a poison type.
I stand by that Gen 8 Slowbro is very, very, very good. But round 2 is not the time to pick it.
I agree,
And
and like
round one is not the time to pick Weavile, because if you've ever used Weavile, it absolutely sucks when it's your like first threat. But when it's like your third threat, it's like incredibly like potent, because they're just like, well, I have to prep for these other two things, and then Weavile comes in and does a number. But if it's your only threat, then like they just prep for Weavile and then it doesn't do much, and then you're just like, well, now
there
I'm
were just
sad.
some just drafting decision making process. Like this guy picked up Moltres, but then also drafts Blacephalon like a couple rounds later, which I think Blacephalon's a little better this gen. Not that it's a great Pokemon ever, but it's just weird that he picked up like, okay, here's another offensive fire type, and he has Nidoking, but he picks up Muckalola, which to be fair are slightly different Pokemon, but okay, it's just like kind of like middling bulk offensive poisons, and he's got like a lot of flying types.
I think Slowbro is like a little bit overly pressured on this draft to deal with all like the bulky waters, because like you just drafted a bunch of mons that don't like bulky waters, and then like Slowbro and Thundurus. But Slowbro doesn't really like bulky waters that much anyway, because it kind of just wants to be like teleporting in and out, and like it'll just get toxic, and then it'll be
Yeah,
a little bit compromised.
Strap definitely
And
really struggles
obviously
with bulky waters. Yeah.
Thundurus doesn't really like switch into stuff. Or it doesn't switch into bulky waters. So pretty much, like his plan to deal with bulky waters is like go Slowbro, get toxic, click teleport into Thundurus.
I mean, I guess like Virizion kind of is okay into bulky waters, but Virizion's usually physical, so it's not even fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just like also not a good mon.
That's when you know that it's also just bad. Like, that's the expert analysis you can come to expect on this channel right here.
It's true. You're gonna be hearing a lot of that in this video. This mon is just bad.
So overall,
Such
I
as
thought
Mega Aggron is bad, by the way.
I think I disagree with that. I will say it. Mega Aggron at 9 points is maybe one of like the reasons I didn't give this draft a D. I was like, that's a redeeming quality of this draft, but overall, definitely not my favorite draft.
Muckalola was 2 points cheaper than Virizion, by the way.
Yeah, it's just a very offensive draft that like has some like defensive Pokemon that just, I don't know, I feel like they get pressured really easily. So
Yeah, I think there's just too much pressure on Slowbro
To do it
take
all.
like solids. Yeah. Which I mean, like, I love Jenny and Slowbro, but like this might be asking a little too much of it. So
All right, so we'll move on to the number 18 ranked team, and that is the Arizona Swellows. These guys actually had Victini before the draft, right when the draft ended, and it's recently free agented for Alakazam coming in. So little interesting there, I think. Not sure if I love or hate that move. I think it's probably net positive, although it leaves him with a little bit of budget left over. But it gives him some much needed speed that isn't Jolteon, which is I think is key.
Yeah,
Like-
that's true.
Like
Alakazam's actually pretty fire this gen with Nasty Plot.
Nasty Plot Zam. I agree, so I don't hate it.
Like both the Life Orb and the Sash sets are like really good now.
But it is just I don't know. Victini was also good. He's left without a fire type. Not that fire is like the most crucial type in my opinion, but it's still nice to have.
Yeah.
I also
I mean, I think my problem with this draft is like he drafted like a bunch of fat stuff, but then he didn't draft many ways of dealing with setup. So like basically his way of dealing with setup is like hoping that it's weak to Conkeldur's Mach Punch or like Sash Zam or like maybe Haze Kofagrigus if that's possible, but it's just like too many like fat like you really needed like an unaware Mon here.
people in the stream were like really into Blissey Venu, and I was like, I don't know if that core is like a good core. Like, okay, but Psyshock is a move, right? Am I crazy? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't say Psyshock, more just like it's just a little like passive.
So
It's not bad. It's just like I don't
I
think
agree.
the
It's not
draft
bad, but it's not like
particularly synergizes well with each other.
Yeah, I agree. And just like overall, I also think I had something pulled up here for it, but I wrote some notes, but I forget what I wrote now.
Like even if you got like if you dropped like Jolteon for like Pyukumuku, it would be like a good bit better. Even though Pyukumuku is not great. But
You
like,
already you mentioned this, but I think a big thing I had with the draft also was like Conkeldur's Mach Punch is like kind of what you're relying on for just fast mons in general. And it's gonna leave you in a bad spot because it's this move team's only priority. Also, like just a general lack of like good Scarfers after Hydreigon. So not only are there's like bad Scarfers, and Conkeldur's is your only priority user. And so I think the switch to Zam was probably a net positive for a draft that really needed some speed to going for it, you know?
Yeah.
But just still gonna probably be a draft that's gonna struggle when it comes to like the speed games week to week.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was going for like he wanted like a little bit more of a bulkier team, which is fine. But it's just like if you're gonna draft like a bulky team like this, you need to be like not like so hardly weak to set up moves by like having almost no priority and like bad revenge killers with Scarfers and no like unaware or barely any like phasing. So
Yeah,
that's my main problem with the draft.
yeah.
Why-
I think that's all fair. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, a lot of his bulkier mons, like Sean was saying, like they just really struggle dealing with setup sweepers. Like you have things like Registeel. Like the only thing that they can really do is like Toxic or Thunderwave. You have like Blissey and Registeel that are just clicking Seismic Toss or
Yeah, like if you just have any Mon that has like over 100 HP and you just run Substitute, it just like it looks super free against this team.
It's a good point. It's a good point. So yeah, just I mean, some redeeming qualities, but just overall a draft we think didn't have. I guess just kind of wrap it up. Not a lot of synergy, right? Kind of some redundancy that's leaving it vulnerable to certain things, which is again not a lot of synergy. So, all right, moving on to the number 17, we got Lake Ross and the Rhode Island Mewtwo.
Ooh, all the things loaded. Let's go.
So it's an interesting pick here. Some interesting picks here, I should say. This was a draft.
Dreadnought was 2 points. That's fire.
I will say I think this is a pretty badly executed rain draft. Overall, I like not a lot of good rain abusers. I guess Dreadnought is the rain abuser, but when that's like really the only good rain, like Swampert Mega, obviously, but
and then like Zapdos is really the only other one.
Like there's no Kingdra, there's no Ludicolo. I would have loved to have seen one of those on a good rain draft, and then like doubling down on Pokemon like Rotom-Mow when you have a Zapdos and you have a Kartana feels a little weird to me.
Yeah, I don't really love the Incineroar pick.
And then
either.
Incineroar pick that early did not make any sense to me either. Yeah.
Yeah, on a rain draft, like I don't think you should prioritize like that high of a fire type.
Absolutely agreed. And the fact that he spent 9 points on a fire type early with, and not only 9 points on a fire type, but an early pick on a fire type, like a day one pick was kind of weird. So I think Surfetched was a good pick. On the other hand, let's give some redeeming qualities here. I think Surfetched is a really good Pokemon on rain teams just because it helps beat down steel types.
Steel types and bulky waters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
It was interesting to start off a rain draft with a Lele. That's something I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on because it's not like a pairing you see all day long. I guess it's kind of cool because like Swifts with Mega Swampert, I guess, isn't afraid of priority under Psychic Terrain.
I
But
think it's more just like
a
you
breaker
just
kind
want
of.
Lele. Yeah, just use Lele as a breaker for like, and then just let the fast mons come in. I mean, Lele plus something fast has
But then
always
the
been
the
like
fast mons are like
good.
Scolipede, and I don't hate Scolipede on the rain draft. Let me say, I think that's a pretty cool pick.
Hazard stack is pretty nice.
Yeah, but like the rain abusers, I just feel like weren't really there. So I just feel like this is not the best executed rain draft I've ever seen. So I'm curious to see. I know he's thinking about doing some free agents, and I would like to see him make a few.
Yeah, I would say like get rid of Incineroar and Rotom-Mow and maybe get like a couple more rain abuse. Like Kingdra is pretty clean this
Yeah.
gen now that it gets
Yeah, dude, no
Hurricane.
Kingdra. There's no Dragon type on this draft, and So Kingdra, I feel like, or I guess there's Sliggoo. My bad. Sorry for the disrespect, Sliggoo.
No,
But
Dragon type
you're right. There's no dragon type on this draft.
but I do think genuinely like Kingdra would be a great fit here, just a rain abuser, and right around the points that he probably will have based on the drops we suggested. So I think this draft stands to improve a lot. And luckily, I think also when you have a rain draft, like you're not competing for your mons a whole lot, which is really nice. Like nobody drafts Kingdra or Ludicolo outside of rain, really.
I'll be interested to see how he uses Zapdos and Rain though, because like with Hurricane now, I think Zapdos is like a really
And then
strong pick.
Weather Ball to hit
Yeah,
ground
Weather
types is
Ball to
really
hit
cool.
ground.
That's a really cool
I
call.
think
I
I
agree.
think Zapdos. This is definitely like very ideal for Zapdos to shine. So I want to see him like make good use of that.
I agree. Noah, you have any last thoughts you want to slip in here?
I don't like Tapu Lele as a Pokemon on this.
Lele definitely is not what it once was. I still think it's a legitimate 15-point mon, but I think the nerf in its power really hindered it, obviously, this gen, and I think maybe a little more than people expected. Like a 20% drop in power for Lele might have been more significant than we were expecting. But just my thoughts. All right, so we're going to move on to the number 16 ranked team. This breaks my heart to say it. It's my boy Daniel. NTK and the Syracuse Sylveons are going to be the 16th ranked team.
Pepe hands.
I think he just had. I don't know. It's tough because Sand is cool, but he drafted like his first first 6 Pokemon were like, all right, how do I find the best way to lose to water types, and then also probably lose to ground types too. Like
Next drill too.
like
Dude, it's Dan though. He's gonna run defensive Gyarados for any ground type he sees.
And I mean, like Alamola went a little bit, and his Alamola Electro Sceptile were clearly picks to address literally the ground and water weakness, like back to back to back. But I'm a firm believer, like when you're trying to address weaknesses in your draft, if you have an early draft and you are trying to address the weaknesses in it with the late draft, you're gonna have a bad draft at the end of the day. Like if you want to have a really good upper part that doesn't have like any big holes, and then kind of synergize with it later, find like complementary pieces, not like core pieces that are gonna patch up big holes. So when Dan's forced to bring like Electros every single week because like he doesn't have a mon to hit a water type in his first 6 picks, like it's gonna feel bad. I feel like, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
That was good for that though, because it's like, I mean, it's not a great, way to beat down those water types, but it is a way to like just like muscle through it. Even though Pokemon will switch through it, you got like some options. Sceptile's pretty cool mon, I guess. Very versatile.
Yeah, I think he's definitely gonna have to be like pretty creative with Mew this season if he wants to succeed, because I don't think this draft I feel like there's just like a bunch of random picks that kind of just threw together.
Well, I really liked starting off with Mew and Infernape was really cool, I thought.
Yeah, I agree with that, but then
it just went in
there's
a weird
a little bit
direction.
of sand in here, then there's like a little bit of like Alumamola for some reason, and like Nidoqueen, I don't know.
Nidoqueen I think was a panic pick. But yeah, just like some weird stuff. I guess it's nice that he has a good spinner and Excadrill for Nidoqueens because we can abuse those T-spikes. But and then like I don't know, like Shiinotic, dude, he had 1 point left on his budget. I think Altaria and Shiinotic, like I'd rather have seen 1 3-point mon than 2 1-point mons and no like an extra point on the budget. You know what I mean? Like weird picks at the end there. And I love Beware. I will say I love Beware. I don't know if I love it on this draft or not. I'm not sure, but it's just a good standalone Pokemon for the value, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll kind of we'll see what he does with this.
Because I agree. I think your thoughts about like Mew having to be creative to patch up holes, probably Mew's gonna like be a really important Gloomon every week to like patch up whatever this team can't do against his opponent every week. So
Can do.
which
I mean,
is-
it might be a
which
hindrance.
for those of you at home, that's not how you should use Mew.
yeah, it's an interesting way. But Dan likes to be creative, so I'm sure he'll cook some stuff up. He drafted some mons he like has always been comfortable with though. Like he loves Infernape, he loves Tyranitar, he loves Gyarados. Those are Pokemon he's always liked using. I know, so I think those were some comfort picks for him too, which I know all about.
Yep.
So next
The king of comfort picks.
the next pick up is Nala, coach of. Wow, I'm surprised Nala was this low. Actually, I give him a pretty good grade. I thought.
Minus good.
I give him a B minus. I'm surprised he's this low. I guess we're just getting to a point where like everyone was really tight right around this range. Yeah, it was a really tight field right around here. So like there's like a 2-point difference between here and like the top number like 7. So it's a.
I mean, his problem is that he picked one good mon, and then he just picked 10.
So
He picked one good mon, then he picked 10 other mons, then he picked another good mon.
so you think Latios and Heracross are what he's working with?
Yeah. I mean, Shaman for 8 and Porygon 2 for 8. That's like good.
Dude,
On the
the
bright
rest of it's like,
I kept telling Nala, like, dude, like, you're on live stream, and like, dude, this team's knock week, this team's knockoff week, this team's knockoff week, and so he ended up switching because originally Lucario was Kofagrigus, and I was like, dude, this team's really knock week, which it was, and then he picks up Sandaconda and Persian Alola, and he's like, Persian Alola, and I was like, okay, Persian Alola is not really like your knock switching, but I guess it's not bad, I guess.
yeah, with fur coat.
Yeah, but
Not
like
terrible.
you're also bringing a 3-point mon every week, so hit and miss, right?
And then he brought a mon, and then he drafted a mon that dies to any and all knockoffs. And
Yeah,
first
and
look.
then Talonflame, Gardevoir, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna trade Kofagrigus for Lucario, which I guess is a knock resist, but is also just a bad Pokemon. So like,
It's a bad Pokemon, and it also doesn't really resist knockoff.
like it's like knockoff isn't a great like Lucario doesn't want to lose its item every game. You know, it's already so like, it usually runs what like Life Orbs or something, and it always
yeah, because it needs power.
it needs power. It's like its stats are so distributed, and it's just not that fast. So it's relying on like setup and then
Yeah.
Life Orb priority moves to do anything.
Yeah, pretty much he's just like, I'm just gonna run Justified Lucario, and that'll be my knockoff switching. Nah, but you gotta run the defensive Heracross with spikes, and that'll be your knockoff
I
switching.
mean, and yeah, at the end, it was finally like Heracross was the finally he picked up like one legitimate knockoff switch and that like can come to an average match. Like at the very end of the draft, he went.
Dude,
I feel like
you run Flame Orb, you activate your Flame Orb, and then you don't even care if it gets knocked off, and it's just like,
feels
all right,
good. I
yeah.
got the knock
But
Honda
Yeah.
could be a good knock switch, and it's just
joking aside, Heracross is really still not that good of a knock switch because it's not overly bulky, and it
but,
also
and,
doesn't have recovery.
Scarf Heracross is probably like I would say probably the best Heracross set on average.
Yeah,
And
maybe not anymore. Just
Maybe not
because
anymore.
of spikes.
but
I feel like bulky attacker was.
I'll say Scarf Heracross was like the
yeah,
best set
it's
of
definitely
all.
still a very good
And
set.
that set
Scarf
isn't the
Heracross-
knock switch off, for example.
Yeah. Let me
Anyways,
switch
no,
my Scarfer into knockoff.
No,
Let's
go
see how it
ahead.
goes.
Sorry, we keep it.
because if you get knocked off with Heracross, you're like, oh, let me go into Heracross, and then oh wait, my knock switching.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I think like the best knockoff switch-ins are legitimately I think probably like Heracross and Rotom Wash, maybe Sandaconda.
Maybe Shaman too. Like he could bring like a bulky Shaman.
But like the key point being none of these Pokemon are actually good knockoff switch-ins.
Yeah.
So I don't
Okay,
know.
knockoff's like less distributed now.
So it was a little bit
But
of a
Megalodios resists knockoff.
little bit of an
because
odd word. And
can't knock off its item. Haha.
also like another thing I just wanted to talk about like that we didn't maybe we just crapped on his knockoff like for like 5 minutes straight.
I know.
But he also has awful rockers.
Yeah, it's like I mean Nihilego and Sandaconda are both like okay rockers, but like
Purple, I
He's
get
only
it too,
got
I guess.
he's only got the
Yeah.
2. And his hazard clearing is not great either. It's like if you're running Defog Latios every single week, that's a bad move. And so it's
Yes.
Rotom Wash is now running Defog all the time, I guess.
yeah.
And then like
I mean like his team isn't 2 rocks weak. I mean, as long as Talonflame doesn't take a knockoff, like you don't really need to remove rocks every
But
week. Like,
Talonflame's gonna have to take knockoffs on this team.
it's true. Or you could just not bring Talonflame.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, this is just kind of another draft where it's like he drafted Megalodios, which is a really good mon, and then he just filled it with a bunch of random Pokemon.
Which is kind of what happened with like Zardex last season. Like with Zardex, I think it's a good Mega that you need to support well, and he just like didn't do that last season. So I feel like Nala has fallen into that same trap 2 seasons in a row. All right, so moving on, we got Free coming up next at number 14. I didn't love the Corviknight pick just because Celesteal was still on the board at the time. But it's not like an awful pick, I'll say.
Yeah. I just remember like looking at this team and my first glance was like, man, it's going to be annoying to deal with defensive ground types. Like, I feel like just
no real way to dent them, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like Arachnid and Sarina.
It's always the
but, like,
Articuno needs to be the answer. And like if they're running Rock Slide, like you tried.
yeah, I just think it's going to be really hard for like it to break most bulky ground types, which I mean,
Arachnid
thankfully
can go
for
a
him,
long way
there's not
towards.
that many. But
Arachnid can go a long way towards most of that though, which is nice.
yeah.
So I don't know. Noah, what do you think about this draft?
I agree with the bulky ground type thing. It said too, like Zeraora with Celesteela, DNC Mega sounds like an absolutely menacing draft, but like I don't know, then like he didn't really get like a super powerful water other than Arachnid. It's like not really.
Also,
I don't know.
I didn't love the
unless it
Gengar
runs
pick.
up Cavalry.
I didn't love the Gengar pick on this draft.
Yeah, I think it's like very similar to Mega Diancie.
It really is,
and
which is weird to say, but like I don't know, like they're both like
they both fill like pretty much the same role.
exactly.
No, honestly,
I mean, personally, I think Mega Diancie, like, it got nice buffs this gen, but I think it's always been, like, that mon that's just, like, way scarier on paper than in practice.
A classic trap mon.
I mean, I wouldn't go as far as call it a trap
The
mon.
number of times we said trap mon on the live stream was so high.
I think a mon that would be really good on this draft would be something like a Volcanion, because like it could beat down the bulky steals that Zeraora and DNC really hate, and it can also deal with those bulky grounds that they also hate. I think that could have been a cool pick, but that is
just
not
a
possible.
good bulky water. Like Arachnid's not a great bulky water.
Yeah, I will say though, Sand Slash for 1 point is a steal.
I agree. I saw that. I was like, why do we put that Pokemon at 1 point? When I saw that,
Dude, rocks and spikes and spin. It's just like Budget Fortress.
Exactly, it's Budget Fortress, which is like good. It's like the same reason you draft Roselia. Like I drafted Roselia instead of Roserade because like it's like why would I draft Roserade when I can get the same Pokemon for like a quarter of the cost? So I like Sandslash on that draft a lot, and I was shocked when I realized that we put it at 1 point. I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Damn, 1 season without me tearing, and then everything goes to shit.
Dude, this man's not keeping it PG at all. I'm a little disappointed.
My bad.
He dropped so many bad words in this chat.
Alrighty, so moving on, we're gonna go on to number 13, North York Yampers, Landorus Therian. In the first round, I thought it was a pretty good pick, but then after that, I wasn't super in love with this. I was one of the harsher raters of this draft. I think its rockers were like pretty bad. I guess Heatran's okay, but Landorus Therian's like not a Pokemon who wants to run rocks every week. After my experience using it last season, and then like beyond that, like I just kind of felt like there was some, I don't know, just not a lot of synergy here. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I really like Landorus and Mega Glade together.
Well, Glade and Latias was so weird, man.
Yeah, like Glade and Landorus Therian, it's just like a tried and true combination, and it's like really good together. But then the rest of the draft is like, what the hell is happening? I don't know what's happening. I mean, I like Scissor and Heatran combo, but like, why is this bulky water Tentacruel? And then like, why did he draft Latias round 2?
Well, like, what's interesting on the draft, there was like a crazy run on Dragon types, and Latias went really early. Like there's a wild run on Dragon types in rounds, like in the end of round 1, then through round 2. Like every single Dragon type from like
you drafted Landorus Therian, who's 4 times weak to ice. You don't need to prioritize a dragon.
I agree. I 100% agree. I also thought like again, I love Gallade as a Pokemon. I think it's like a top 3 Mega probably. But then Latias, like when you already have Latias, it was like, well, like that's
The
just
solution is just to kill two birds with one stone and free agent Latias.
yeah, agreed.
Get rid of like
But I
Electivire
think
and
because of
Latias. You get like
because of the
two good
budget of how many
Pokemon.
points Latias is, he'd have to like change so much here. Um,
I mean, you just like get rid of like Latias and like
like
Electivire.
Electivire, just get an
Yeah, and
actually
just
usable electric type while you're at it.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Also, Vanillish for 4, that's another steal with Veil. Gotta point that out.
Doesn't have a ghost switch in either, other than Ambipom, which like that's not really a switch into any attack anywhere, so that's not really a good option. And again, ghost is kind of a bad typing in draft, so
yeah,
Yeah, I also like just looking at the like rounds 2 to 4, I just feel like he tunneled too hard on like, oh my goodness, I need to get like a Fairy Dragon Steel core. And it's just like don't focus on those kind of like they're
agreed,
okay
100%,
for like
100%.
beginners to be like, all right, make sure my draft isn't completely random, like something Nalo draft, but you don't need to
Oh my
like
god.
overly focus on those.
Oh my god, that was maybe I think that should be like because that's probably the harshest roast so far. Like that was like
just
one
so
of my-
nonchalant too. He's like, yeah, like don't just pair. He's not like trying to pair random stuff together like knowledge draft, and like he just kept going.
Dude, it's the RKO out of nowhere.
That's absolutely brutal. Alrighty, well with that we're gonna move on. Seattle Slackings are at number. Oh, what just happened? So what just happened? We got an error on the spreadsheet. All right, there we go.
So, this guy doesn't actually have a team.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Give me a sec, guys. I know what's going on here.
This man made the best pick of the draft with round 12 Carcole for 1 point.
All right,
Absolutely
went,
broken on.
went round 1 NA and then just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna like go the rest of the draft and see what I can do. And he did a really nice job putting together this amazing draft right here.
I don't know what's going on. 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. Sean, if you want to start talking about it in the meantime while I'm trying to figure out why this isn't working, go ahead.
Yeah. So he drafted a lot of Mons, which I consider overrated. And therefore, I'm not a huge fan of this draft. However, he also saved it with things like Landorus and Carcole and Toxicroak and Rodent.
And there's really
Actually,
no bad mon other than, well, Carcole is not.
I mean, I think like Darmanitan is not that good for that price. I don't think Noivern's really that good. Serperior is overpriced without hidden power. And then I'm not a huge fan of Bronzong and Milotic.
They're still
So-
good, surprisingly. I've used it in Gen 8, and it's like, everyone thinks it's terrible because it doesn't have hidden powers, but like it still does
Yeah,
the
I
same
mean,
thing.
it's just like
Great.
glare spam, basically.
All right,
You
I
just
fixed it.
like glare
I
stuff,
fixed it.
seed, leaf storm.
I think I got it.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
Oh, is it done? Is it done?
It's good.
No,
it's
it's
good.
still. Oh, there it is. Okay.
It's good.
the
We're
picture's
good.
done.
We fixed it. We're good. Everyone,
But Carcole is
everyone
still not.
rejoice.
We can't move on. With that
Carcole
part.
picture is never gonna work, guys. I'm never gonna make sure it works. Sorry, Carcole, you're never
I
gonna
mean,
get a picture.
This Mon, it has Flash Fire, it has Stealth Rock, it has Spikes, it has Rapid Spin.
I'm playing this draft
It-
week 1, so if you guys want to break down the analysis that I can just completely dissect this man, I would love it. But I don't want to talk too much because I'm
Don't
playing
bring Mega
against it.
Scizor. Yeah, don't bring Mega Scizor because he has Carcole, which hard counters Mega Scizor unironically because it has Flame Body. And then, yeah, that's my analysis.
All right,
Dude,
well,
he's definitely.
Sean's rigging this matchup right now. Everyone, let it be known.
In all seriousness, though, like it's not like the most like synergistic with each other, but like Landorus and Mega Mawile are both amazing mons. Mawile is not as good as it once was, but it's still very good. Landorus is very similar. Like it was once like the number 1 mon. Like if it was in a draft league, it was like pretty than the top pick. That's like pretty good, but there are other mons that are like slightly better than it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there
Yeah.
are bad mons on this team. It's just like not as synergistic as some of the more top drafts, so that's kind of why it's like middle of the road.
Yeah, it's just a middle of the pack draft at this point. And honestly, like
Yeah.
the grades are pretty solid. It's like just solid Bs across the board. It seems like I was actually a little higher in this draft. I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I really like Rotom with Nasty Plot. I think pretty much all of the Rotoms just became like way better this
Because they can
gen.
be offensively actually threatening now. Like you can't just like
Yep.
they're not overly passive anymore. If anyone has
So-
Not that they're like super passive in previous gens, but just like now it's like I think a lot of they're very passive against like ground types mostly, especially like the ones that didn't have a secondary stab to hit ground types. And
Yeah.
now that's not the case because like you can't just bring in any ground to Rotom and then because you might just get blown back by like Nasty Plot.
overheat or
Oh, boy.
something.
Well, I was talking about this Rotom, but
Yeah, I go with you. Yeah, I'm sorry. You some of the Rotoms in general though, so that's why.
yeah.
Clicking everywhere.
Quick shout out to Rotom Heat being the best Rotom form in Gen 8.
I think Sean has ADHD. He keeps like clicking everywhere on the sheet.
All right, so let's move on to the NJ Flabebe.
I expect you, dude.
So
Caught you.
this is a draft that was like looking super good but on day one. I thought the first 6 rounds were like, all right, this is a really good start. I think it was like it was like one of the top 3 drafts in grades on day one, and then day 2 just like really did not go this guy's way. First of all, I think this draft like day 1 his like all his upper tier Pokemon like lose to a fairy type with fire coverage or like ghost coverage, which I think a lot of fairy types have one or the other these days with Mystical Fire and Shadow Ball being so widely distributed. So like if any fairy type like isn't instantly afraid of Aegislash or like this guy's in for a long day. And just
What are
like
you talking about? It's Quillfish right there.
I don't, which is
Don't
my
be
next point.
dissing
I don't
mine.
think while I like Quillfish at 4 points, I think it's a good pick. I don't think Quillfish is the fairy type answer that like the prophecy
That's
has
true.
foretold.
But he does have Boots Charizard. Admittedly, Boots Charizard not a bad fairy answer for things with fire coverage.
I guess.
Because a lot of fairies will kind of just
Run.
be really annoyed with Charizard.
You guys are forgetting.
But it is a
Profit.
Charizard, so like I don't know. Anyways, so
No, I
not
feel
a-
like you haven't seen Charizard Gen 8 because it's so much better with Boots. And like it's like actually a usable mon as opposed to last gen when it was completely unusable. Also, another point, Venomoth for 5 points. I don't think Venomoth is like particularly good, but it does force a lot of prep. And if you don't prep for it, you're gonna get swept by it. And for 5 points, I think that's very valuable.
I think that's true. Venomoth is a good mon for sure, especially like people criticize the lack of Z moves now as being a really big nerf to it. But I think it's still like at 5 points now, it's still like a decent sweeper for the low tiers that you can pick up. Like you said, like and anytime you can pick up a sweeper, like a legitimate win con in like round 11, like
Round
Bombi.
11 for 5 points.
for 5 points, probably gonna be in a pretty good spot. Mr. Mime
Okay,
Galar, I don't know what that Pokemon does or is like.
It has Rapid Spin. That's all I
Oh
know.
no, Mr. Mime doesn't actually, which is surprising.
Like okay,
Mr.
so
Rhyme
you heard it here first. Mr. Mime Galar apparently has Rapid Spin. I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about this
I don't
Pokemon.
Team, it does not get rapid spin. Its evolution does.
Oh, it
Mr.
does?
Rhyme. Okay,
Alright.
never mind. It's even worse. I'm pretty sure Mr. Rhyme is also in the same tier.
Wait, hold up. There's Mr. Rhyme is lower tier than Mr. Mime. Which
I don't understand. Like I didn't even know Mr. Rhyme evolved from Mr. Mime. It all confuses me. Like I thought it was like a different evolution for a while. And I was like, oh wait,
I
it
mean,
evolves
I mean, it
from-
has like screen cleaner. It does have Rapid Spin. What are you talking about, Noah?
All right. Well, apparently
Mr.
we need to get our alternative facts straight on this channel. But
Yeah, I know. This man is trying to diss me.
Okay, I was wrong. I thought I thought that.
But so to reel things back towards this draft, I thought this was just a draft that kind of like went off the rails a little bit on day 2 after having an amazing start on day 1.
And I disagree because I love every mon on this draft except Mega Altaria and Aegislash. I think they're all very good.
But then if you think like those are 2 of the top 3 Pokemon in this draft, like as far as budget. I guess not Keldeo, but like I'm not a big Keldeo fan in draft format. Call me crazy.
See, I like Nasty Plot, Tornado, Starion as a mon. I think Crocodile's good. I think Keldeo is good. I think Uxie is really good and underpriced. I think Heliolisk is usable.
Helios was such a big
I
snipe
think-
for me.
I think Quillfish is really good for the price. I think Venomoth is really good for the price. I think Sneasel is good, and I think Charizard is good.
All right, well, so Sean sounds like he
So
would
I
have
would
given this
give this
draft an
draft
A
an
minus
A.
or something or an A. Okay,
No, I'm
so
giving it an A.
so Sean out here defending our boy Neff from the doldrums of the middling power ranks, saying he has a better draft than we're giving him credit for. Fair enough. I will differ. I don't think Heliolisk added a lot to this draft that it really like. It's not the electric type this draft needed. Like
I can agree with that.
Um,
A different electric would probably be.
I still
better
think like
here.
if you're forced to bring Pokemon like Charizard and Quillfish to be your fairy answers on a week-to-week basis, when a lot of people have high tier fairy types, it's still a bad spot to
like
be in.
you're saying that, but like Aegislash still deals with fairy types even if they bring fire coverage. I just want to point that out.
I guess that's true. Maybe I'm being a little overly critical of that. Maybe I could have given this draft a B plus.
Because you're also just like you can always threaten the autotomized weakness policy set. Fairies, like almost every fairy, is not even going to come close to like one hit KOing.
Fair enough. Okay, so Sean out here spitting the big facts. I would bump my grade up if I could redo this today to a B plus. I've been convinced. He's a
Boots plus nasty pot tornado.
He's a Neff truther, and I think he's made a pretty convincing argument. So, Neff, you owe Sean a big thank you, I guess.
Yep.
Let's move on to the top. I guess now we're on to past the top 10. So now we're moving on to number 9. And this is another draft. I will say personally, I thought just had a great day one or like a pretty good day one, and then just blew it on day 2. And not to mention, like you see Xatu and Frostas here. I think one of these Pokemon was a Dodrio like yesterday.
Yeah, Dodrio Mismagius, right?
Yeah, it was Dodrio Mismagius. That's true, and it turned into Xatu and Frostlass. Is that better or worse? I'm not totally sure yet. Verdict is out.
I think round 2 Kyurem is just kind of like bad. Like I really don't think Kyurem is that good this gen.
I think Amoonguss was a panic pick for him as well. He didn't know what to pick up there, but Amoonguss Suicune is a pretty solid defensive core just overall. That's gonna be really annoying.
I do know he's like it's like a comfort pick for him. Amoonguss, like he's really comfortable and uses it a lot. So I think that's mainly why he grabbed it.
And yeah, absolutely fair enough. I just think like I don't know, this draft is like it's like Magearna and Medicham, and then like what's going on? Like I guess Kyurem's okay.
I think Greninja's. Oh, I don't think Kyurem's that good.
They get Dragon Dance now, which is pretty nice.
Greninja's.
You're dying out here, Sean. Your mic quality is like going out.
I'm sorry. I'm just like losing it over the fact that people think Kyurem is a good mon because it's not.
He's like stuttering. Like
I know. Sean is a absolute colossal line truther, as we've seen.
It's true. It's true. This mon is actually so good,
and I'm sure he thinks that 3 points is an absolute steal.
It's true because look, he was looking a little fire weak with Magearna.
Disregard Suicune and Miltank.
Not true at all. But in case he didn't want to bring them, boom, he's got Colossal. I mean, what if you're just running Vincoon and you don't want to take chip on your Suicune because it's counterintuitive to the set, and you don't want to bring Miltank because Miltank is bad sometimes and passive. So you also want to get some hazard removal because you didn't draft any hazard removal before Colossal. Like literally no hazard removal. So
yeah, which is gonna be my next point. Like the hazard removal on this draft is brutal. I guess Xatu is a little better than Dodrio, I guess, at getting rid of. Yeah. But
we said like he's like, oh, what was bad about it? And you're like, oh, like it's a little bit hazard weak, and he's like, dude, I got a Xatu though. Like, yeah, it's okay.
Like, I guess Xatu.
I mean, I think it's like kind of compounded by the fact that, like, mons like Kyurem, like, I think its best set is still Sub Roost with pressure, and that set like really wants leftovers. But like on this draft, he kind of like
he has to run boots.
He's almost forced to run boots, and just makes its best set like way worse.
I absolutely agree with that, and I just think like so. Clearly, other people. I gave this the lowest grade out of everyone. Me and Jatun, I should say, gave it B minuses. Everyone else giving it these slightly buffed up grades. I was just like really critical of that fact. Like, man, these on a draft with Kyurem, like obviously he doesn't have a ton of rock weaknesses up in his higher tiers. Like Magearna, Medicham, both resisting rocks, and like Amoonguss has like Regenerator, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. But you know, you're just gonna be in such a bad spot when like someone decides to bring Hazard Stack on you, and like, did you bring Colossal this week? I hope so.
Like, also, like, yeah, I really wish he just like got a Wish Passer here with Suicune and Magearna. I think like Both of those
Yeah,
mons would
yeah.
just like absolutely love wish support, and there's none of that.
So
Yeah.
Most like Frostlass gets
Fairy
wish.
would
I
have
don't
So
think it
I gave
does.
this draft an A minus after day one, thinking he was gonna make better picks towards addressing big problems, and he left his hazard clearing until he has 7 points invested in hazard clearing, which is
I think like the only good round 2 pick he made. Well,
day 2. You mean?
yeah, was Greninja. I mean, like as much as I really like Colossal, I don't think this is like the right fit, like team wise for it. Just because
He doesn't have big fire
like,
weaknesses
you can't-
really.
yeah, like he has enough stuff to deal with fire types,
Like he's
and
got a
then
Suicune,
also
he's got a Miltank.
like you don't want Colossal to be like your hazard. Like it's good as secondary removal when like because it's a mon where you don't want to bring it that often, but when you do bring it, it's generally going to be like really good. But if it's going to be your only hazard removal besides Zatu, then you're going to have to try and bring it way too much, and that's when it becomes bad.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so let's get. We're already all nearing an hour into this video, so we're gonna keep whipping through this. We're gonna move on to the number 8 teams. We're getting up a little, I'd say, into the top echelon of the draft, and we've got the El Paso Chinchinos, which just got B plus almost entirely across the board. Because I think this is just what everyone considered to be a slightly above average draft, which is again. Now we're approaching that top echelon. He replaced Jirachi with Necrozma shortly after the draft, as well as I think Sableye was a different ghost type. I forget what it was, but he replaced that as well. Or maybe it was a different dark type. I'm not sure. But so just to kind of like break it down, my thoughts on this draft, I think Cinderace and Blastoise are pretty cool. I thought the Weezing while it's a good Pokemon, like it is a good Pokemon because it absolutely craps on fighting types, but this draft wasn't weak to fighting types. It's a T-Spiker, but like it's weird to be picking up a Pokemon like Weezing so early, I thought. Like just
I agree.
like good Pokemon overall, just really big reach that probably made the later rounds a little harder to kind of lock down.
I will say this draft is super nice for supporting Pinsir, which I appreciate, though you got Cinderace, Blastoise, Weezing.
Yeah, good hazard clearers. Good hazard clearers, although Cinderace not always the best hazard clearer, but definitely viable.
I think Cinderace is like it's a mon where you don't generally bring hazard removal that much, but it also forces opponents to like
not run
want to bring
T-Spikes or something.
Yeah, not like at least not hazard stack you, or just the threat of like a court change is enough to like alter opponents' prep generally. So I think
Absolutely
that's
right.
kind of
Like,
more the value of it.
Absolutely, I think on face value, like people would see a Cinderace and be like, "Well, I guess I shouldn't bring spikes this week." You know?
Yeah, but then again, this team wasn't super Spikes week. I mean, you got Pinsir, which is like the main reason you would want to remove hazards, and it doesn't really care about spikes unless.
I think my biggest problem with this draft is that his steel type is Cobalion. And like Cobalion is not a good steel type when you're trying to draft it as a steel type.
He had Jirachi, but then he got rid of it.
Yeah. Like I mean I like Necrozma too, but if you're making your steel type Cobalion, that's not a good thing. So that we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I definitely think that's some interesting. Also, like some of these, like Sableye, Lycanroc, Midnight, completely unusable low tier picks in my opinion.
Sableye is not unusable. Lycanroc I would never bring to a match personally.
Did Lycanroc get like the same? Did this form get the same buffs as like the other forms?
Yes, but what good is it when you're like not good? Like
I guess that's true.
Like
I mean, like
the other forms...
it's okay. It's really
Lycanroc Midnight, the one that's like no guard, like Stone Edge, and that's like
gimmick, but it's like 80 something speed. At least it has like Sucker Punch, but like
not even a dark type.
They're rock, so it just dies to like any move that's like.
But obviously, I think we just all kind of agree. Like this just feels like a pretty easily considered to be a slightly above average draft, albeit not perfect. I think it's just pretty fair assessment here. Moving on to the Chunichi. Not Chunichi, what am I saying? Chernobyl Dragalge. It's Bruno. I like this draft a lot. I was actually clearly a little higher on it than most. Free gave this an S rank, but I wasn't going to accept that, so I just gave it A+, which was the highest our ratings actually went. Thanks, Free, for being annoying. I literally gave this an A minus, slightly on principle because he drafted Meganium, which I don't know how many of you guys know about, but there's currently an ongoing onslaught of debate as if Meganium is actually better than Torterra. And I can't even fathom how this is a conversation because clearly Torterra is a better Pokemon. So I don't. And everyone's like, "Oh, but Meganium gets screens." It's like Torterra also gets screens, dude.
I don't even know what the argument. I guess like that it's pure grass and it's not 4 times weak to ice.
Dude,
I guess, but
anyways,
like,
So I had to give this draft an A minus.
Let's get on top.
Yeah, I had to give this draft an A minus on principle. But other than that, actually, I really, really do like this draft. I just had to deduct points for that reason alone. But I think Melmetal was a cool pick. I thought Rotom Heat was a pretty big reach on round 1, albeit maybe for some great synergy, but just a big reach, I thought. Komodo was another great synergy pick, though. I just feel like this is just overall a really solid draft with a lot of great synergy and a lot of good things going on. And I wasn't a big fan of the Zoroark pick, but if he's a person that feels comfortable playing those mind games, then I think that can be good. I don't know if there's a lot of Pokemon in this draft that Zoroark can pretend to be very effectively. Maybe like Roserade.
I think it's mainly Komodo.
Does it pretend to be Komodo well?
I mean, it's not revealed by any abilities generally, and then like psychic types generally just like Zoroark pairs with fighting types well, although like fairy type, it really depends on the matchup whether they have like a good psychic type versus a good fairy type.
Yeah, so but like overall I think this was a decent draft. I don't know. I like a lot of stuff about it. I think Orbeetle with webs is really cool for something like a potential Melmetal, albeit Melmetal will probably still get outsped by most Scarfers. But Komodo could really punish
Pokemon.
Komodo could really punish those Pokemon. I don't know if webs were that important, but like it's a nice touch, especially for 5 points.
I feel like he got like a lot of like really good value mons. Like mons that were just like good for their point tier. But I think my concern with this draft is that there's not. I don't know if there's enough like threats on a week to week basis.
Yeah,
Melmetal is pretty scary, but
yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think
number one.
You kind of deal with Melmetal and Komodo, and it's like he doesn't have a whole lot that really like is going to threaten you. So like this is just kind of it's like he drafted like good mons and they have good synergy. But I think this is kind of like one of those like better on paper drafts where like I think the lack of like threatening like mons is going to kind of hurt him because really Melmetal's is only like upfront power. Everything else kind of needs to set up to have power unless he runs like specs per marina. But I don't know.
Another thing I'm kind of realizing about this draft. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm kind of like to back up your point a little bit. Like if you think about it, like the things that Melmetal struggles with are also the things that Aerodactyl struggles with. Like bulky waters, bulky steels. Just like they kind of lose to a lot of the same things. Not that they're the same Pokemon, but just like when you kind of are trying to build a draft leagues, I'm sure a lot of people watching the video know, like you want to think like what's going to make it difficult for my opponent to prep on a week to week basis and what's going to alter their prep process. And like when I see this team and I'm like, okay, well on an average week a bulky water is going to be really good here. Like, and I can just pretty much prep for Aerodactyl and Melmetal, 2 of your top like threats, I guess if you will call them that, at the same time with all the same things. I think it's like, even though they're not the same role, the redundancy there makes it a little easier on this side. But that said, I still think this is overall a good draft. So like, I'm not going to punish too much, you know.
I think it's a good draft. I think it's just like it's really just a paper monster, and I think it's going to be like this is not a draft that I would be scared of facing with like almost any other team.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say about it.
This team has a lot of good Scarfers like Rotom Heat, Roserade, potential Zoroark, Mimikyu, not really. But the big thing is speed tier too. Like doesn't really have anything in between Arrow and Zoroark, and that's kind of an issue. But I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I think the bulky water problem is a little bit more apparent, but even then, it's still a pretty solid draft overall.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're being critical here. Like, it is clearly still the power rank as this number 7 draft. I think most people were pretty into it, but I think like there's some flaws here, and it's like I think Sean's analysis, like it's clearly pretty decent on paper, but maybe in practice it's gonna need to be piloted pretty well. You think
I gotta
Jatoon's,
say,
you think you're? All right, fair
I'm with
enough.
Jatoon on this one.
All right, fair enough. I liked this draft. I think it was just over. Like I really liked a lot on it. It was just not my favorite draft. So I gave it an A minus. I feel like that was a pretty good spot for it. So moving on, we got number 6. We got the BC Bastiodons, a draft that I rated as one of the top drafts in the league. I personally really like this draft. I gave it an A. I didn't give out any A pluses. I didn't think there were any A plus drafts. But this draft I thought was fantastic, and if I can just delve into a couple of the reasons why. First of all, I think Kyurem Black is pretty awesome this generation. We didn't allow Dragon Dance on it. That's still really cool. I think Raikou is another Pokemon that got really buffed this gen. So he basically didn't need Raikou to get buffed because he already crapped on ground types. But there's a lot of Pokemon that I think are like really like kind of pivoting off what we just said in the last video or on the last team. I think there's like a lot of threats like Kyurem Black, Manaphy, Raikou, Beedrill, Reuniclus,
even
Snorlax,
Beedrill.
like Beedrill, absolutely. Like if you just like don't like, I think when we just say threat, we're saying like if you don't actively make sure you have an out when this Pokemon comes in, like you'll lose to it is what we kind of mean, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's like, I mean like Snorlax, like out of his first 7 rounds, like 6 Pokemon here I would consider like a legitimate threat, you know, like could win any given week. Could be like if you told me this Pokemon had like won a week all by itself as with a sweep, I would be like, okay, I guess, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Even Comfy is like
Yeah, dude, Comfy's gonna go on a
Comfy is
random
almost
trip.
like the definition of a low tier, like you need to prep for the Smon or else you're probably gonna lose to it.
So
I think that
I really
being said,
liked it.
I do think Mega Beedrill's a little bit out of place here. I mean it looks more of like a bulky offense draft, and there's not too many pivots for it to work with. So I think
Yeah, that's true. I think
I feel like he more drafted it for the speed tier and not like he kind of like drafted a team and put Mega Beedrill on it rather than like drafted a team that like
that's a good
feels
point.
like it wanted
I think
Mega Beedrill.
because I think when you draft Mega, I think maybe if anything that's a really good point. I didn't really think about that, you know, because I don't want to think about it like when you draft Mega Beedrill, you really want to pick up like some slow pivots, right? Like some slow bulky pivots, like a Rotom or something.
Like a slow bro.
Like a slope, sure, absolutely. Like just like slope now with teleport, I guess, right? Or like just something that can bring in Beedrill for free and just keep grabbing momentum because Beedrill's whole thing is like it clicks an attack and then when something comes in, it just clicks U-turn after that. And
Or
so
you just click U-turn on the switch.
or you
and
just
it's
click
like
U-turn. And you
because
constantly stay ahead.
Yeah, you just have like a super strong U-turn, so generally you can like threaten things, and then even if they switch, you're gaining momentum, which is like the whole point of Mega Beedrill.
And I think like
But
he's got
then-
Pokemon to capitalize on that, like with Kyurem and Raikou and stuff. But maybe like if that's a if that's a 3-mon series, he doesn't have the first step maybe, in like a Mega Slowbro into Beedrill into
Yeah.
Kyurem, you know.
Like I like having like Skarmory, Reuniclus, Snorlax, Comfy. It's just like those aren't mons that go well with Mega Beedrill.
Because they're not going to bring in Beedrill at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But still, I think like a threatening draft. Go ahead, Noah.
There are a few things that I think that are a little bit problematic with this draft. Number one, hazard removal isn't amazing. You know, you have Skarmory.
Sure, that's
and
true. That's true.
Comfy is all right. Skarmory is all right.
Don't sleep
Neither
on
of
my
them-
boy Girder.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty much like Skarmory almost every week.
Yeah, it's true.
if you're bringing Girder for hazard removal, that's probably not ideal.
I'd say Girder's like
I
a better
know.
clear than Conkeldurr.
Right.
Girder, Girder, just because it comes in on so many rock and steel types, and
It's-
just like can threaten to defog.
Girder solely for defogging, it might be a little bit.
But it is still only 2 points. I think
Right.
I think Girder's fine for that. But I agree that like you
Rock
know,
hazard clearing isn't good on this draft overall. It's all on Skarmory's shoulders. That's fair. Maybe I would bump down to an A minus. Maybe I've been convinced just a couple things off. I just like when I looked at this draft, I was like, wow, these are so many Pokemon I like using. I love it.
I know, but like for me, it was so close to being A minus. But that and also his speed tiers are a little weird because he has in between like Raikou, in between Manaphy, and Beedrill is fine. But then after Kyurem Black,
Was it a big
Snorlax.
drop off? Yeah, it looks
Snorlax.
like it. Oh wow, really?
very like no
it's
basic.
like it's like in the 40s.
Which
I
is
think,
which
after
actually,
that.
if that's true, that's a really good point because like that's where like I feel like 70% of Pokemon reside. Wow, I'm gonna go ahead and be mean and bump my grade down to an A minus right now
Wow.
because
Brutal.
I've been absolutely 100% convinced that this draft is not an A anymore. I've been pretty hardcore convinced.
BC in shambles.
I know the most about because this was the one that took me the longest to think about what grade I wanted to give it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have any good scarfers other than Kieran Black, so it might cause a little bit of.
Dude, imagine if you picked up like Mega Heracross on this draft.
That would have been pretty cool, I think. Just like
I don't know if he can like afford it, but like you could drop like Executor
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Mega Beedrill. I don't know how many points Mega Heracross is, but
it's I think
if
11.
like he had Mega
I think
Heracross
it's
here,
11, 10 or 11.
yeah. So you drop Mega Beedrill and maybe Executor if you have to, and you pick up Mega Heracross, and then it like somewhat solves your speed tier issue. Like you lose your top speed tier, but I think that's fine on this kind of draft just because it is a little bit bulkier. And then like you just gain a mon that's like is so much better now.
VC, you heard it here first. We gave you the advice. Now will he follow through? All right, moving on. We got my own draft. I was power rank 5, which I thought was personally a little low, but the drafts ahead of me are also really good. So like, I'm always gonna think that. If I can just break it down real quick, I wanted to. I got sniped a lot on draft day, so there's some interesting picks here. I think Finny is gonna be a cool mon to use for me. I originally planned on having Suicune there, but I think Finny's still a good overall synergy pick there. Just bulky waters are nice for this draft. I worry that sometimes that my rockers aren't great. Garchomp's and Azelf aren't Pokemon that want to have... Like, Garchomp's a really good rocker, I think, but it's not a Pokemon that always wants to have to run rocks. It has other good sets, like just SD 3 attacks or Scarf sets are also really good on it. Azelf's not a great rocker. It's a decent lead rocker, like Suicide lead, but I don't know if you want to force Azelf to do that every week. So that's why I wanted to pick up Regirock, which is a good rocker in the late tiers, albeit it's just a Regirock. And then
you kind of needed like a good flying resist too with Mega Scissor as your steal, so I think that was a good pick.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And then people laughed at Dottler a lot, but I'm gonna stick up for my boy Dottler here.
Dude, I'm gassing up Dottler.
Dude, like
Dude.
I think like, it's the best 1-point Weber, and everyone's memeing me for it, but like it genuinely is the best 1-point Weber, and it's a pretty good one at that. Like I wish it had U-turn like Orbeetle, but it does not. But like it still gets like Iron Defense, Body Press, Recover.
Dude, imagine being a wall, a sticky Weber, and a sweeper all in one set for 1 point. Shit's broken.
Vikavolt.
Yeah.
I will say Bolton was supposed to be Vikavolt eventually prior, but Vikavolt got sniped. I didn't really need Bolton on this draft. I would have really rather had Vikavolt, I think. Just it's a Weber and it's a good electric type, and it kind of my draft's not ground weak at all, but it would have been nice. I don't know. So what do you guys? So that's my own personal thoughts. I just thought like there's some good synergy here in the top 6, and then in the bottom few rounds I picked up like key roles that I might need on a certain week to like take some pressure off my top mons. Like if I have a team like maybe if I'm going against a really hazard clearing bad draft, which we've seen a few of, Roselia or Dottler could be good. So just like if on a week to week basis, if I had like if I saw a team that had a weakness, I could bring one of my low tier mons, but on an average week I wouldn't be forced to. Was my plan. So go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the main weakness that I see is that like this draft feels a little bit knock weak because the best 2 dark resists in Feeny and Mandibuzz are fairly item reliant. Like Feeny hates losing leftovers and Mandibuzz hates losing its boots. So that way, like,
do you not think Scissor is a good knock switch in?
I mean, yeah, it is, but like, I don't know. That's just kind of like what I
fair enough. No, yeah, fair enough.
Biggest weakness, and again, it's not like it's not like a glaringly obvious weakness. I just think that when your 2 best dark resists don't like taking knockoffs, I think that is like a slight problem.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
I like the Mienshao a lot because I think I think it was just a really cool Pokemon. Filled a little bit of a speed gap. You didn't really have that big of one, but like Garchomp to like, where's your next Pokemon? Azelf, I guess.
Yeah, it was Azelf. So there's a gap there, but not like a legitimate like exploitable one, but it does exist.
It does force those Pokemon that are creeping Garchomp to creep just a little bit more for Mienshao, which could definitely make the difference. Because I know Cinderace, I think, is in between. Like an Adamant Cinderace outspeeds Garchomp, but not Mienshao. Not super big because we're talking about literally 1 mon, but just stuff like that.
I think the big thing with the speed is base 100 Pokemon because they can kind of just run Adamant or Modest for free.
That's true, yeah.
Is that yeah? I guess so. I mean, like, because Finny is fast
There's
enough,
like
but doesn't run
yeah,
speed usually, right?
yeah, there's Chandelure at 80, or there's like even on max speed Feeny, they can still run like even a max speed 8 base 85, they can run Adamant or Modest, but they probably won't even need to creep max speed Feeny most
Probably
weeks.
just creep
That's a good
Chandelure,
point.
right?
Maybe that's a big weakness I didn't think about that much when I was drafting. I could.
I'm pretty sure 95s might be able to as well if they ignore Feeny. I think if 95s ignore Feeny, they can.
Oh, because 95's 189 and Feeney's what, 295, right?
But he's saying if they ignore
Well, no, but
Finny,
I'm saying like if you just like go to Chandelure, so Chandelure hits 284, right? And I'm
yeah.
pretty sure, like a modest like Kyurem Black would be
Yeah, it's faster than.
faster than Chandelure. So that's like my main kind of concern with like speed tier wise.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty legitimate. I maybe I can try to address that in free agency, although I'm not sure what I would drop.
Dude, yeah, this team's pretty solid. I mean, I wouldn't change too much about it. I don't know if you can fix the.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like there's gonna be holes with almost anything that you draft. I think this is like pretty solid overall. So good job.
I was annoyed that I got fifth, but such is life. That's okay.
Your boy Baton getting
Coming up, my boy Jatun getting fourth place, with really good grades across the board. So clearly a draft that was pretty popular with the people.
It's a people's draft.
The people's that's what we're gonna call Jatan's draft this season. It's the people's draft. So Mega Lopunny, I thought was an awesome pick. It's a really good Pokemon this generation. One of the top megas for sure, and I thought Bulu was really good support for it in the next round. Just a really good wall breaker that got better this generation. Deoxys defense was cool.
Bro,
it's really good for Lopunny and Bulu. What do you?
I just disagree with I think Deoxys defense just make no sense on this draft with the first two picks.
What do you think he should have gone for?
I think he should have gone for like a hazard setter that was less of a momentum suck, and basically I think Deoxys defense is a little too passive for like the first two things to center. I think Deoxys defense would more appreciate like a slightly bulkier draft than this.
I think it's a good
I don't know if I agree with that. Yeah, I think go ahead. No, you used Deoxys defense last season, right?
Yeah, because I think because a lot of people think Deoxys have this notion that Deoxys defense is really terrible. Because once people unbanned it, they're like, oh my god, Deoxys is so much worse than people thought. It's terrible. It's definitely not a high tier Amon that you're gonna draft alongside to make this some unbreakable core. But as a 12-point mon that can just take hits for stuff say a Mega Lopunny or something. Say there's a super strong breaker Terrakion or something comes in. Deoxys defense can definitely chew a close combat into something like a Mega Horn or something. So that can definitely be really annoying for teams to kind of break through or just deal with Mega Lopunny because it's just a really nice way to kind of take hits from those mons that don't really need to. It might be a little bit overbearing. It might be kind of bearing the burden, which I think is kind of where you're going with that, Sean. I think I see your point in that.
Mm-hmm.
But
because I don't think it gets teleport, right?
So I guess you would not have put it as high up as fourth.
No, I probably would have put it more towards the middle of the pack. I also think some other mons are just not that good, like Salamence.
See, I disagree. I love Mence. It got a pretty nice buffs this generation. Finally got special flying stab, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
But special Salamence is a set, so that's pretty nice that it got that.
Oh, is it a set though?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% is a set, dude.
I mean, for Salamence, it's a set, so.
Yeah, 110 special attack is actually solid. Okay.
Yeah, Salamence, it's a legit. Yeah, it's a good. I don't understand how Salamence has such good stats everywhere. It's defensive, it's physical, it's special, mixed bulk, wish passer, good speed. I don't understand how why does this Pokemon have such good stats and so where's where's Gudra's 100 speed? You know what I mean? I don't understand what the math is here. Where's Gudra's?
The thing is, Salamence looks way more badass than Gudra.
Is that how it works? The stats add up better. I don't understand how both these Pokemon have stats that equal 600. I just don't get it. Like
It's
Salamence,
just because they just dumped all of Gudra's extra stats into its special defense.
But I don't know. I will say I disagree. I think Salamence is really sick. I give this draft an A minus. I think it's a top 5 draft for sure. I like this a lot. I didn't love the low tier picks. That's why I give it an A minus. Liepard I think is a pretty bad Pokemon. It's a Pokemon I've been almost lured to drafting a lot, but every time like I actually give it a good hard look, I realize it's awful.
So is Togetic is also like
Togetic is also
similarly
really,
very
really
awful.
bad. Yeah, agreed.
For 2 points though, Togetic is actually pretty solid. It's
I
like,
drafted
no.
Togetic in B tier in CSL, I think.
Togetic is a Trapmon, dude. That's the definition of a Trapmon. But you think it's gonna do something and then it doesn't.
I guess.
Anyways, I think this draft is a little bit weak to fire because the water type is Empoleon. And
it's the red. It's like the red team. Like his color, the color red, just like draws the fire types into this draft.
It's an
I just
interesting
think
point. It is a little fire weak.
Fire.
It's like Mence has to be defensive if he wants to switch into fire types all game.
exactly.
Which is bad when you're like.
I mean, he's got like offensive answers for him.
I heard
but
Sean. You said this once, and I think it's a good point. Like Empoleon's a good steel type. It's not a good water type, just because it's
a terrible water type, dude. Terrible.
Yeah.
Because it's a water type that like you think kind of wants to be bulky, but like it can't switch in or beat ground types, and it can't switch in or beat fire types.
Well,
it can be like I should say it can't switch into fire types that easily all game long. So it's like not a great water type. Like water steel isn't a great typing. So I can understand the fire weakness.
Every mon on this team either resists fighting or it takes it super effectively. Like that's actually insane.
Imagine if you like just combined Leopard and Togetic into like some actual like somewhat bulky water for 4 points.
Like
How much better this draft would be.
Yeah, I mean, Wishy-Washy was already off the board, but Wishy-Washy would have been nice there.
Let me go through. Let's see.
Runerigus is a trap mon. That mon is terrible too. You think it's gonna be good, but then it can't.
I don't think Runerigus is great, but I don't think it's awful.
It's rest, so it can like somewhat recover.
What if you just got Kabutops or Amistar instead of those last two? It'd be way better.
What is this hazard clear? Like, not Kabutops is a hazard clear. That's true.
Yeah, it gets wrapped.
Okay, all right, Jatoon, you heard it here first. We're out here giving everyone draft advice. Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm out here ready to fix everyone's drafts.
Moving on, we got the Chicago Flashfire Pisces, the runner-up last season. Tapu Koko Dragapult was a really fast 1-2 punch, not a core that I think Noah had exactly to a T. So Noah, what are your thoughts on that right there?
Oh, it's better this gen because Tapu Koko is actually usable now. Because last generation it was like actually terrible with like Thunderbolt.
That's the most unopinion I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, dude, it was literally.
Do you mean pre-DLC or do you mean last Gen 7?
No, he means pre-DLC.
So I was like,
when he used it.
like I'm pretty sure Coco was good last gen.
Pre-DLC Coco was some hot garbage.
Dude, it was
it was way overrated because everyone remembered how good it was in Gen 7.
I think that's fair.
I got it at 15. So it was like such a waste of points, but like it was still pretty good even then, and now it's like so much better.
I like the regen core he picked up. I think Hawlucha all the way down in round 6 for him was really nice. And then I didn't love the Steelix pick when Aggron was still on the board, and for only 2 points more, you can get like in my opinion a much better Pokemon.
Yeah, if this team had Aggron,
I feel like they're basically the same thing, and like one of them's 2 points less. So
see, I disagree. I think they're like. Aggron's
the only thing
distinctly better defensive typing. For 2 points, you can get like just a much better bulk overall.
But the thing is, like, he needed a like better electric, like he needed a good volt switch answer.
Sure.
Just because Tangrowth, you can switch and do electric type attacks, but volt switch is still going to be really annoying for it. So I think with Coco especially, like you really want to make sure you're good against electric types, and also. He has both his regen core is quite good into bulky waters, which is kind of like water is really the only like downside to being steel ground as opposed to steel, in my opinion. So
just the thing
that's why I think Mega Steelix was a better pick than Aggron here.
I like his low tier picks a ton though. I think like his last 4 picks were all like great value pickups in my opinion.
Volcarona was a little weird, but like Volcarona with heavy duty boots is like it's always going to be a threat. So like it was a little expensive, but like for where it was at, like
I
you
will
didn't have
say
a fire.
his hazard clearing is kind of sus. Coco's really never gonna run defog, and Lucha is not really ever gonna run defog, so it's
Yeah, I
cryogonal,
think
which is why I
yeah.
gave it a B plus personally because I thought its hazard clearing was like super crappy. Um, I was lower on this draft than anyone else. I liked the draft. It was just my big gripe with it was your hazard clearing is really bad because Coco and Lucha like are clearers that never want to clear. Like,
Yeah.
And
I
a thing
think like this is definitely like the most like spikes weak draft of the ones that we've seen
I agree
because
with
like
that.
the clearing is bad. A lot of things are weak to spikes, and then uh yeah, pretty much those two things.
I would say other thing I would say this is a pretty rock weak team, despite like you think like, oh wait, like things are weak to rock on this team and the ones that are can just run boots like Volcarona and Cryogonal, but like things like Coco and Dragapult hate having rocks on the field. Like just changing that 100% to 88% could mean the difference between like dying to like an ice shard from like a revenge killer and
Absolutely.
not like that. Like things like those frailer mons like Coco and Dragapult do not appreciate having rocks on the field, which is why I think hazard clearing is definitely
Mm-hmm.
something that's just really wants to have.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, well, moving on. We're at number 2 now, so we're getting towards the end here. We're a little over an hour now. Toady and the Lisbon Lapras at number 2 with a lot of A's and A minuses here. We got, I thought the fact that he got Celesteela, like not even at the beginning of round 2, like kind of like the back half, like early middle, I should say, back half of the beginning, early middle, whatever you want to call it. Um, Celesteela Deoxys speed seemed pretty crazy to me. Deoxys speed without Z moves is distinctly worse than it was last gen.
Yeah. I
But
don't think Celesteal and like Deoxys Speed are particularly good together, but they're both just like good mons, so I can't really fault him for
exactly,
like
and like,
taking both.
and he got them in good spots. I think is the other thing, especially Celesteela. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just a good place to be. After that though, I think he just like honestly just built a really well-rounded draft. And if you ask me,
Yeah. I
like
think like he got a couple steals in Mega Gyarados and Galar Corsola because I think like Mega Gyarados with Power Whip, it's actually like pretty scary. It might be like a paper monster. I'm not entirely sure. Um, but just from like thinking about like stuff, most of the time you would bring a bulky water to beat Mega Gyarados, and like if you calculate +1 Power Whip against like bulky waters, like it's pretty scary. Uh,
yeah,
how
fair
much
enough.
damage it does.
I just think like he just picked up like I didn't love the Thunder Therian pick, but it works on this draft. Um,
Sure,
Zy-
for an electric community, which his team kind of needed.
yeah, exactly. It's an electric meter there. He also got then Zygarde to really back that up, and Hidden Power Ice is obviously non-existent anymore, so that's pretty awesome. Like I don't know, just like drafted 2 ground types, but they're pretty different. I don't know if they share a single weakness actually,
No, they don't.
so it doesn't even matter.
But yeah, he drafted like a bunch of mons that I really like, and then a bunch of mons that I really hate. So
So
I
like,
don't know
what do you
how I
hate? Like
feel about the
Hitmontop,
draft.
I know you don't like.
I
What
hate
else?
him on top. I don't think Thunder's Therian is that
I
good.
don't
I'm not
either,
a huge Florges fan. I think Tauros is pretty garbage.
but it's just 3 point
Yeah.
mon. I think Taurus for 3 points is pretty decent actually. It's like
I mean, like
it's a
the
mon like
only
if you
yeah,
don't prep for
the
like
best
Sheer Force Rock
yeah.
Climb is gonna do something.
No, it's not because it's just gonna miss. Like I've never seen an 85% accuracy move miss more than Rock Climb.
That's
I
funny.
miss his old time. It's crazy.
I
It's
thought
like fireball.
Volcanion was awesome here also. This late especially like I think actually this is something I learned from Sean back like a couple years ago or something. But just the fact that it's a Pokemon that like can use all 3 choice items well is really cool.
It's a little bit
It's hard.
sus, but it's still decent physically, so we'll give it a
It's
pass.
got 110.
Nah,
I'm
dude,
pretty sure.
I saw this one. Dude, back in the day, I had this my man. I don't remember what his name was because he was one of those people that did like 1 or 2 draft leagues and then like retired from draft league. But he actually just destroyed everybody with banned Volcanion. Like he brought banned Volcanion every week,
And
and
everyone
it
lost
was
to
just
it.
yeah, it was messing people up. Banded Flare Blitz, people just like you're just like so surprised at like the damage output just because Flare Blitz is such a high power, and generally when you're switching things into Volcanion,
You're switching in water
they're gonna
resist for steam eruption.
yeah, I mean you're switching in something especially defensive, right? And
Yeah.
then like it brings out the banded Flare Blitz, and you're just like, what the hell just happened?
Dude, Volcanion's a steal. For
Also
10
with like
points.
heavy duty boots defog, like I think it's a really good Pokemon this gen. It's a good defogger now too, and like Volcanion was a Pokemon that like kind of always struggled to find a fourth move to run, because you like always ran like your Steam Eruption, your Fire move, and then like Earthquake or whatever coverage move you're running, like Sludge Bomb or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you have like defog is always going to be a move you want to run in a heavy duty boot set, which I think is really good and just give this draft another good clear. Not that it really needed it, but just now it's there.
Yeah. I think like the biggest problem with this draft is like even like with the power whip buff for Mega Gyarados, I do think bulky waters are pretty annoying for this team. It's mostly like Thunderous Daring. Like Celesteal doesn't love dealing with them because like Scald Burn really sucks for it. Deoxys Speed is like okay because it can like taunt their recover, but it's not the best at dealing with them. Mega Gyarados, like it can finish them
But if it gets
off if you
Scald
get
Burned,
like
you're in
some
trouble.
chip. Yeah, but it can't set up on them. Volcanion is a mon that's historically the biggest problem with Volcanion has always been bulky waters.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Bulky waters are an issue for this draft for sure. So it's like all on Thunderous Darian's back really to beat him.
Yeah, I think like if he runs a lot of toxic on Volcanion, I think that would be his best bet. Just because it can lure in a lot of bulky waters and then try to like whittle them down for other members of his team.
I agree with that. All right, so moving on to the number one ranked team. It's your boy who's in this call, the Chicago Bewares. Strokefish had the number one ranked team overall, with the most pure A's of anyone, I believe. Just a pretty fun draft, I think, honestly. I know Sean loves Centiscore. She was trying to sell me on it all draft long.
Dude, 4 points. This mon is actually like unironically very good because Fire Lash is annoying to switch into. It gets knockoff. With boots, you don't care about rocks. And yeah, just like I think it's very underrated.
It's this draft too. Things like Gliscor don't really appreciate ice moves. This draft was not ice weak, but like it just kind of fits things like Ferrothorn and Gliscor's weaknesses pretty well. So I felt it kind of fit that mold.
It's Gliscor.
Also, you like
I
snipe.
just want to.
You sniped my Terrakion, which I was really sad about because I Mienshao was supposed to be Terrakion. I do
picked it earlier, but
I do really like the Terrakion pick. Just a really good Pokemon. I think really hard to switch into. Pairs really well with Zam, I think as well. Just like Terrakion can break down a lot of stuff because Zam gets Nasty Plot, but I don't think you're gonna get a lot of chances to click Nasty Plot for free in 2020. I think people will realize that you're gonna click Nasty Plot and probably try to prevent you from setting up with it very often, which means
Nasty Plot's more of a luxury move on Zam. Like
Exactly.
things like
So I think Terrakion
honestly-
really gives you a breaker for Zam to do its
Honestly,
work.
Zam getting Nasty Flot and losing Barrier, that was not a good trade. Like, unironically, Mega Alakazam would rather have Barrier than Nasty Flot.
Do you think so?
It makes it so much better. Yes,
I would love to have
because like
Barrier would probably be broken to be honest.
yeah, I mean like people already ran like Barrier Calm Mind sets last gen, because like it's just immune to toxic, and then
How is it
yeah,
immune to
it's just
toxic?
like set. Well, you just don't mega it, and then it's immune to toxic. So
Huh.
you could
Okay.
just set it up on like bulky shit that is like, oh, I'll just like toxic you, and it's just like, no, I'm just gonna set up and like stay in my regular form and still be like really fast, and then just like set up for free and win. And the like,
That's an interesting point.
I can't even I can't count on like two hands like the amount of replays I've seen like with just like Barrier Mega Zam just like setting up and like sweeping.
Man, it was. I think Gypsy King had that in one battle, and it was like
Yeah, it was like running rampant through DPL.
kind of sucks that it lost. Still a decent one.
Sad that it lost it, I guess. I
Use
still
it.
think kind of moving on to like obviously that's the centerpiece of this team. I think Nasty Plot's still a good move for it, but just kind of like more of a luxury, kind of like you said. Like it's
Yeah, I think like it's just
nice-
so risky
it's
because
nice
like
that you have Grimmsnarl to set up screens for Zam though in that world.
that is true. I think Naspot's just a little risky because it makes it so that like you're clicking Focus Blast, and like if you miss, then you just get no damage off. But if you hit, then it's like, okay, now you just Oko Darks. But it's just still super risky. Like
If you got
I
Aura
wish
Sphere, it would have been a
Dazzling,
hell of a
like
world.
if it had a better move to hit Darks than Focus Blast or Dazzling Gleam, like it would be
I mean, if you
super
got Aura
broken.
Sphere, you'd be balling out.
I mean, I don't think so, but
I,
because like
because
that's
then
just the same
Dazzling Gleam, yeah,
power
but
as
then you
Dazzling
also hit
Gleam.
Steel types, I think, which is pretty big. Because then in 2 moves, you're hitting everything.
All right. Well, hey, well, listen, I'll let you guys in a little secret. Don't tell the other coaches, but I'm not every.
Your secret cut out really badly.
Yeah, you just cut out.
I was with Brink. Sorry, I'm not gonna run Nasty Plot every week.
Yeah,
I mean, you shouldn't.
fair enough.
I would think that
I
should
don't
be
know, just like
obvious.
kind of
but-
moving on to the rest of this draft. I think like you got some really good synergy here. I think like Vaporeon plus Gliscor is really really nice. Ferrothorn kind of synergized with that pretty well. Also, I think Duraludon is like kind of underrated at 6 points. I really like that Pokemon.
And I hard disagree with you. I think it's pretty hot garbage, but
Bad.
I digress.
I think you picked like a really good Wall Breaker and Xurkitree as well. Obviously, you're gonna struggle with grass types a little bit there, but I don't know. The rest of your draft, you like Centiskorch to come into those grass types, I guess, and Zam doesn't care about grass types.
And he has a Ferrothorn.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And so like I don't know, just like good synergy here all around. And I think easily pretty solid, pretty fair to give this draft the number 1 power rank overall going into week 1. So
What do you think are some criticisms? Because I'm curious to see. Just because I
let me take a look.
I don't think like the speed is like you have Mega Alakazam and Terrakion, and then it's like your next speed tier is Gliscor, but you're not generally going to run fast Gliscor that often. So then it's like what, like Xurkitree, I think, is your next fastest. I don't remember how fast Duraludon is. It's like either 80 or 85.
It's 85. I will say, yeah, like the speed gap between Zam and Tarak was why I gave you an A- because
Well, for me, it's more like between Tarak and like anything under Tarak. That's like it's kind of like the same thing with you, except like also like 105s, I guess.
like I just think like I mean yeah, fair enough. So like I think it's twofold there then because that's a pretty good point. But then also like I think like most drafts try to cap off their speed with a mon around like 115, 120, 125 if they don't have even, and then a lot of drafts otherwise will have like a mega lop or something, or like a Coco or something like that. So I think there's a really big gap there where like fast.
I mean, I don't think 120s can capitalize on Terrakion though. I think it's only like 125s, and I mean, for me personally, if 125s are gonna run adamant on you, like whatever, like that's not a huge deal.
But at least they can run some bulk. I don't know. So like things like Torn, we get to run some bulk in that matchup. But which is
I
like,
mean,
not great.
it's not ideal, but I think definitely like the speed gap between Terrakion and like whatever you're gonna say is below it is much more like pronounced.
Yeah, I really wanted to get Noivern for between Tarak and Alakazam, and it was good for hazard clearing because my hazard clearing isn't like amazing. You know, I have Gliscor and Claydol. My team isn't super hazard weak, but like it still would have been nice to have. So
yeah, I think generally like in terms of hazards, if somebody's gonna stack on you, you can probably stack on them. And then like
most
with Mega
drafts don't draft a
Alakazam,
good spinner. Most drafts just settle for like defoggers.
yeah, I think like I don't think hazards are that big of a deal for you just because like I mean, I think if you just like stack on each other, you're probably going to win most games with like green setup from Grimmsnarl and then like maybe a Scarf Terrakion or a Mega Alakazam.
right, it's pretty much just Alakazam, Gliscor, Pharaoh, Tarak, Grimmsnarl plus accessory mon that can do support or clean.
Which I think is
Yeah.
honestly probably like if we look at this draft, like probably like this draft style, maybe like the way to go is like draft because there's kind of this weird like this like budget and how we set up the rules. You just kind of go for 5 A and B mons, hopefully maybe 1 C mon that's really good, and then like a bunch of accessory mons and just pick a bunch of really good mons and like then fill your last 1 to 2 spots every week with like a mon that has good matchup and fills a role you need that week.
I think just the one problem is it's like it's probably going to be very predictable what you're going to bring most weeks, but I mean that's just kind of what you have to like. That's just how you built your draft, really. Like you can definitely handle like the monster you drafted can definitely handle anything, but I think there's like just a slight prep advantage. Like for good opponents, they'll be able to be like, all right, like they can kind of rule out some of these lower tier mons that don't have great matchup and more like almost kind of get a mon advantage on you
Because you also only have
when
11 mons to start.
yeah, and it's like
And
if
like
they can like narrow
eliminate one or
down
two of
things
those
that you're
others.
not gonna bring, it makes it like way easier to prep because you're just kind of like now instead of like 12 on 11 or 11 on 11, it's like 12 on like 8, and
Also,
then
I will say another thing I didn't really love was Claydol on this draft. Like you have a Gliscor, which I don't know when you would ever bring Claydol when the Gliscor does everything, legitimately everything Claydol does better.
that's not true. Claydol has rapid spin.
Okay,
Nasty plot.
I'll say like I don't know when you would ever bring Claydol over Gliscor. Still,
See, it's when he's anticipating a hazard stack, and then he stacks. You stack on each other. Claydol ignores everything because it like is super hazard resistant, and then rapid spins away, and then you just get a free win.
all right, well, you heard it here first. Free wins every week for Noah. All right, guys, this has been a really long video. I was expecting this to be like a 40-minute video. This ended up being an hour and a half. So hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys can listen to this while you're going to work out of quarantine, or you're maybe working out or doing something fun, going on a hike. I don't know what you guys do with your free time. Clearly, most of us are just playing Pokemon all day. So until next time, thank you guys. Thank you guys, Noah and Sean, for stopping by and devoting so much time to this little venture here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below about like what you guys think about what we said. If you disagree, agree, what do you think the best and worst drafts are? How you guys think people will do this season? We want to hear that stuff. And until next time, we'll all see you guys later. Krakenation and the various assorted fellas out.